Hello, everyone, and welcome to another live broadcast of Adults Only. I'm Jahi, and that brother you see over there is Chazz, and we're going to have a discussion tonight. We're going to continue where we left off last week. Last week, we talked about why we don't have a free mind, but tonight we're going to talk about how to have a free mind. How you doing, first of all, Chazz?
I'm doing good. Thanks for asking, brother. How about yourself?
You look like you feeding your face, man. I see you look like Popeye with that stuff in your mouth, man. So
No,
why don't you?
I had a quick snack before I came on.
I was
Well,
gonna say
my fault.
this is a broadcast, man. You can't come on there with snuff in your mouth, man. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and finish this discussion. But before we start the discussion, I want to say to everyone who's tuned in, we truly appreciate you guys tuning in to this broadcast. You could be doing something else, and we definitely thank you from the bottom of our hearts. This broadcast can be seen every Wednesday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time and 7 o'clock every Wednesday, which is going to be on the Eastern Front. So now that I got that together, we're going to start off, Chazz, by talking about what a free mind is. So I want you to define in our context when we say having a free mind, what is a free mind?
Basically, a free mind is the ability to think for oneself, speak the truth, be open, teachable, and connected without any fear.
You mean correct it without fear.
I'm sorry, corrected without fear. And I would also say using your own logic. Now, when I say your own logic, not something that's far-fetched, but looking at something critically and say, you know what, this may not make sense what the media is telling me. This may not make sense what this news podcaster is telling me. I'm going to use my own critical research and think for myself and quit always relying on other podcasters and radio hosts to tell us how we should dictate our lives and stuff like that.
Yeah, I really believe that today, Chazz, our culture is in serious trouble. When I say that, I'm saying it in terms of many of us, we don't think for ourselves. Mm-hmm. We don't have the mindset that we need, especially when we get older. You would think that because of experience, we're able to open up and be able to have an open mind and we can be teachable and we can be corrected. But a lot of us, our minds are just really screwed up. And this is why I want to start off by showing an image, because I think it's important that we see what is going on with us today. And I think you're going to talk about this before we get into all the comments that we're going to be talking about. But I want you to look at this. The United Negro College Fund had this as they're saying, but I think it's so important, which is this: a mind is a terrible thing to waste. Mm-hmm. A lot of our minds, Chazz, are wasted. We just don't have the mind that we should have because there's so much in our minds. There's so much filth in our minds. There's so much garbage in our minds. Mm-hmm. It's just that there's so much social media in our mind. There's so much music in our minds. There's so much vulgarity and everything you could imagine. And so we're basically wasting the minds that we have. And I think we need to have this broadcast to try to help us come back to our senses and come back to our sanity, because it's our minds that's under attack. Wouldn't you agree with that?
I agree with you 1,000%, and I've heard that term been thrown around a lot throughout the years about a terrible mind. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, and it is, especially when you add to the fact when you're putting stuff on it. When I'm talking about alcohol, drugs, weed, all that stuff, and throughout the years, it just damages and it tears down the brain cells. So these are things that you should hopefully try to get away from. But yes, the mind is a terrible thing to waste.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the question, and that is how to get a free mind. But before we start talking about how to get free minds, encouraging wise, we want to say hello to all of our guests.
Okay, we got our first comment. Sister Barbara fires in here. She says, "What's up, brothers? We appreciate that." Sister Marie fires in here behind her. She says, "What's up, family?" And we appreciate her.
So, Chazz, let's start off by talking about how do we get a free mind.
Letter A, limit mental clutter. Stop allowing all of the mess to enter our minds. Stop listening to all the chaos. Like we just mentioned about 5 minutes ago, all this crap on social media, all this crap on the news, all this crap on these magazines at these stores, all this crap in the newspaper. I can go on and on. Now, let me say this here. There's nothing wrong with looking at these things here or there, but when you pile all that stuff on your head day after day, hour after hour, week after week, it's going to have some kind of effect on you. You can sit up here and think that it won't, but you have to limit these things to stop them, because if you don't, your mind will become corrupt and you'll start thinking like these news anchors or TV magazines and stuff like that.
That's so true, because we definitely have to limit the mental clutter. Our minds are not made to hold all the mess that we have. Many of our minds are like trash cans, and it's like
Mm.
a lot of waste material is in our minds. And we gotta find out, how do we get rid of that? Well, we take out the trash. We take this clutter out and we get rid of the stuff that we don't need in our minds. But again, when we become adults, everything is coming at us, man. We got issues with our health, issues with our family, issues at the job, issues life, and a lot of that stuff is clutter, and it clutters us up, and we're not able to think properly. So we have to limit that, Chaz. In other words, we got to stop some of this mess. We got to stop the chaos, because that's what happens when all that stuff comes in our minds. It basically it becomes chaotic, and this is why most of us adults, we have issues with just being who we are, because there's so much mental clutter in our minds.
Yeah. We have Sister Mashonda. She fires in here. She says, hi, we appreciate that. But and Nushi fires in here as well. She says, peace and blessings, fam. We appreciate that as well. Sister Barbara fires behind her, and she says, we should stop polluting our minds with worldly issues that doesn't add value to our lives. Yeah, and we've all been affected by that, by these worldly issues, where we have so much going on that's coming at us through these cell phones and these TV shows, and we kind of internalize all this stuff. And like she's saying, we have these worldly issues that normally don't, affect our lives any kind of way, but we take hold to it, and we just try to stay away from it as much as possible.
Yeah, and see, we, instead of us de-associating ourselves with worldly issues, we plug into the world. We want to know the latest fad. We want to know everything that's late. We want to have the latest shoes. We want to have the latest sayings. We want to have the latest whatever they show us. And it's difficult, but yet she's right. We've got to stop this, man. We've definitely got to stop it, because if we don't, our minds are going to become contaminated, and then we're not going to be able to think properly. And that's a problem that I see in all of our lives. And that is, as adults, we're not able to think properly because our minds are so worldly.
Yeah. Well said. Letter B. Challenge unfolded beliefs. Seriously think about what you're being told on a daily basis. Some of the beliefs we hold have no foundation or basis in fact. And some of these things, for example, can include I am worthless or me against the world. And just that one right there. There's a few people in our lives that may have hurt us, did us wrong, did us in the back door. But everybody's not out to get you. It's not against. So you mean to tell me you and every person in the United States that's in China, Russia, Asia, everybody's not against you. And we have to stop saying that, me against the world. No, you may have been done wrong by a few people, but everybody's not out against you. And I think that was one of the ones I want to touch on, that me against the world crap.
Yeah, because a lot of these unfounded beliefs, we have to seriously think about what we're being told on a daily basis. Ever since we were children, ever since we were little kids, we have been told things. We have seen things. We have allowed things to enter into our hearts. And so what we have to do with those things is we have to start what we call going through those things and making sure that the things that we keep are really founded. The beliefs that we have. We've been told so much that we just accept everything hook, line, and sinker. And that's one of the problems that we can't have serious discussions today with adults, is because we have really a lot of unfounded beliefs, and yet we don't challenge those beliefs. And see, we don't like to challenge when people tell us things. We just accept it. We don't like to push back and say, hey, in all due respect, I just like to know where you got that from. Why are you telling me this? And challenge that, because these beliefs have destroyed us, whether it's religion, whether it's education, whether it's history, regardless, whether it's politics. We've got to stop this, because our children are seeing this. And what happens is, when we don't challenge these unfounded beliefs, we all become zombies. Whatever someone says, we walk around in a daze, don't know which way to go, can't have debate, can't have arguments, can't have dialogue, can't be taught. And I think those unfounded beliefs are what really hurts us a lot, because we never challenge them.
Yeah. And another one, real quick, before you move on, is another one I've heard for years. I'm worthless, or I'm nobody. Like I said, and even though people have done us wrong, I keep hitting on this, but people have done us wrong and it hurts. And I think that we dwell in those things that have hurt us, but you're not worthless. You're not a piece of garbage just because somebody did you wrong a few times. Now, I'm not taking up for that individual, but come on now, you got to, not you, just people in general. We have to get away from those negative sayings because it really messes our mind up.
Well, Chaz, don't you think that we should want to have a free mind? Well, don't
Yeah.
you think we should want our mind as free as possible so that we can engage in dialogue, so that we can, take in new ideas, that we'll be able to express ourselves, we'll
Yeah.
be able to talk to people and learn and be better people. But
Mm-hmm.
again, when we become adults, and I've been on this kick for the longest and I can't get off, when we
Okay.
become adults, something happened to us to where no one can tell us anything because our minds are not free. And therefore, because our minds aren't free, we become these beasts, man. We become these beasts who don't want to learn, don't want to release some of that garbage. We can't tell us anything. We think we know everything, and it becomes a serious issue.
Sister Barbara Fires in here. She has a comment. She says, okay, you moved on. I don't know if she had two, if that was just one.
Yeah, I
But
think
I'll
we've already touched on this one. This is a new one.
Okay. The second one says we've become a monkey see, monkey do, and our minds become entangled with all this sorts of stuff. Yeah, we have, and me and you, we make these jokes here. We do. For the most part, whatever we see on social media, we try to emulate it. Whatever we see on TV, we try to run and do it. And we have become a monkey see, monkey do, and it's to the point now where even if it's negative, if it's bad, it's to the point now that we're just copying and emulating any and everything that we see, and for the most part, this stuff is doing us more harm than good. But she's
Let
right
me ask
about
you a
that.
question. Let me ask you a question, Chaz, because I'm not going to comment on that because you basically put that in this context. I'm going to ask you a question. I just want you to be honest and answer this question. Here's the question:
Okay.
why do you think that we have become a society where we have not safeguarded our minds? Why do we allow anything? People can tell us anything, and we accept it. We believe it. We don't challenge enough. Not everything people say is not challengeable, but why do you think as a society we just allow any old nonsense to come in our minds?
I would say because some of us are naive, and the second part is that we're just gullible. Not every thing, like you said, that needs to be challenged, but I think most of us are naive from the fact that we could know something is wrong. But like I said, once again, I hate going on this. If our favorite athlete does it or says it, then that means that it must hold some weight, or they got to
Mhm.
be right because Denzel or such and such said it.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
we're that's how naive we are, brother. And I think as a society, that's where we're getting to, where it's getting out of control. And I would just say mostly being naive. What's your take on that perspective?
Well, yeah, and I agree with you 100%. Because I also think that we don't like to be told anything, Chaz. That has a stronghold on us.
No.
Everyone thinks we know everything, and because we have so much in our brain, and our brains are really not what we think they are, because we don't want to be taught. We don't want to learn. We don't want to study. We don't want to research. We don't want to be taken to another level. And so we think that's a weakness when people are teaching us. So we think we know a lot, which we really don't. But you can tell because of us adults in our 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. And we really are screwed up mentally, but in our minds, we don't think so. But our minds are like tied up, like they're tied in a knot. All you got to do is talk to somebody. They're gonna talk about their children. That's first. They're grown
Yeah.
children, not the young children. They'll talk about their grown children and the challenges that they have. They'll talk about how, like you mentioned, somebody has done them wrong. They won't talk about ways to try to better themselves. They never say, when you say, Jahi, how do you have a free mind? Well, I have a free mind. The way I do it is I try to stop allowing all the nonsense that I used to allow in my mind. See, I won't say that. I'll talk
Right.
about everything under the sun, and that's why we're in the predicament that we find ourselves in.
Brother Ray fires in here. He says, "Hi, everybody. Hey, Brother Ray, we appreciate you for logging in." He fires in here, but he says, "All that stupid and risky challenges black people are doing." Yeah,
He's right.
uh,
Yeah.
the one the one in particular, this was a few years ago. It was called the Crate Challenge. Now I don't know if you guys remember this, where they were stacking crates on top of each other, and a lot of people were messing themselves up. You know how many people got injured off of that stupid task? Now, I don't know if people remember that, but I just remember everybody was going to Walmart, buying all these crates. And I'm like, why is everybody getting all these crates? And lo
Yeah.
and behold, they all on social media, and people would get injured left and right. And I'm like, boy, this is ridiculous. But he is right. We are doing some risky challenges. Do you remember that one, brother?
Yeah, I remember that, and it was really nonsensical. But as you just mentioned, when we look at some of the things that we do, what it goes back to, Chaz, it goes back to people who have no goal, people who have no purpose, people who are just living from day to day, people who don't want to do things constructive for their community, for their children, for themselves. We're just so entangled in so much. And this is why it's important to have a free mind so we can do the things that's going to bring about a change in our lives and also in the lives of the people that look like us, because we're under all kinds of attack. We're under political attacks. We're under religious attacks. We're under social attacks. We're under educational attacks. So you would think that our minds should be free so we can ward off some of this stuff, Chaz. But we have accepted all of it. And this is very, very important. So this next statement that this brother says, I don't have anything to say other than to read it and look at it, because it's right in what he's saying.
He says, only a fool knows it all. He's right. And the next one he puts on the screen says, find a solution to the problem. Every problem has solutions.
Yeah, and he's telling the truth on that, Chaz. But what I want to add to that is we got to have a free mind to find the solution, you see. And he's right about finding the solution, because we should be looking for the solution. But when you're talking about the mind, if the mind isn't free, Chaz, the solution is not going to come. Brother Raymond, if the mind isn't free, then the solution is far-fetched, because the mind is too cluttered to find the solutions. So that's good practically, because we have to find it, but the mind has to be able and willing to go look for the solution, because many of the minds don't want the solution. It's stuck in where it's at. And I think that's important to say. That's true that we should be trying to find the solution. But if the mind isn't free, Chaz, if it's not free, Brother Raymond, you can't find the solution because the mind is entangled, you see.
Yeah, and I'll touch on this previous one that was really, really well said. He said that basically a fool knows it all. Now, we like to sit back and think we know everything, that there's nothing you can't ask us that we don't have the solution to. There's a lot of things that I don't know. And he's right. For a person to sit in life and think that they have all the knowledge there is and they're never wrong, and anything you need to ask, just run it by them, that's just totally far-fetched. And he's right. We have to stop thinking that we know everything. And I don't have a problem with admitting that I don't.
Us African Americans are going to have to stop and smell the roses. We're going to have to stop, because the way we can have a free mind is what I'm going to put up next. And I'm going to let you take your shot at it, because I know this is your baby. You love this kind of stuff. So here's a way that we should have a free mind.
Letter C. Unplug from noise. Take breaks from social media, news, or gossip. Exactly. If you are addicted to TikTok, YouTube, all these apps, there's nothing wrong with getting on these apps. But tell yourself, you know what? I'm going to deactivate TikTok for a week. I'm going to deactivate YouTube for a week. No, bro, I've done that. No, I've done that where I don't get on the certain apps for like a week or a month or sometimes a year, and I just don't get on it. Now, there's other things that you have to implement, because when you take away something, if you don't put anything in place of that, you're going to go crazy. So you have to basically remove some of these apps for a week, a month, a year, or sometimes a few days, and then implement something positive in that time, so that way you're not just sitting there going crazy. But we have to take breaks, brother.
And this is why I like doing this broadcast with you, because you're one of those guys who are a theorist. You know, you're a theorist. You know, in theory, what you said makes sense. But in reality, what I'm trying to tell you is social media has done a great disservice to the free mind.
Yeah.
It has entangled the mind. It has tricked the mind. It has misled the mind. it has damaged the mind. Now, there are some beautiful things on social media. Just take our broadcast, for example, and other
Right.
broadcasts and podcasts. There's some
Right.
wonderful things on social media. But Chaz, I'm talking about 50, 60, 70, not the kids. Most of us are not going to take a break from social media because it's our lifeline. And it keeps,
What?
it's our lifeline. We needed to go to the bathroom. We needed to go to the break room. We needed to go to the breakfast table. We needed to go to the living room. We needed to go everywhere. So the mind will never be free if we can't manage this thing. Now, we're not saying to never get on it, because that would be impossible. But we don't know how to turn it off. We can't even have a conversation. Listen, boyfriends and girlfriends can't have a conversation. Husband and wives can't have a conversation because one of them is always on that phone. We can't sit down and talk like 2 p.m. because one of us is always on that phone. So this has destroyed the mind, and yet we want to know how to have a free mind. The gossip, Chaz, we got to stay away from that, but we can't. We want to know who said what, who's the latest one to say it, when did they say it, how did they say it, and if I were you, I would do this. So these are some very important points, and I wish we all would take these points to heart when it comes to how to have a free mind.
Brother Ray fires in here. He says, anyone, even a child, can see the problem, yet very few will see the solution. The rest will blame everything but themselves.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he's spot on, because a lot of us, in order to have a free mind, like we said here, let's look at this one again, Chaz. I'll read it. A free mind is the ability to think for oneself, speak the truth, be open, teachable, and correct it without fear. See, a lot of this stuff we don't do. You know, we don't think for ourselves. We're afraid to speak the truth. We don't want to offend anybody, Chaz. We got to say it a certain way. You got to be politically correct. We're not open. We're closed-minded. No one can teach us anything, and we can't teach anybody anything because we don't know anything. And then we don't want to be corrected. We do not want to be. If you correct me, I'm going to cut this broadcast off, and we're going to get off the air because you corrected me. See, this is that macho crap that us men have gotten involved in. And instead of us having a free mind, we become people who have closed minds, and it bothers us to a degree, man, where it's like we're not learning anything because we don't want to be corrected.
You said that right. Letter D. Read and learn things that open your mind instead of incarcerating it. And I would just say, just real quick about reading. Now, not always reading your favorite biographies about certain people, because anybody could do that. These are things that we want to do. When we say read things that's going to open our mind, I'm talking about certain like crossword puzzles, books that can improve our cognitive function, because reading stimulates brain activity and increases your memory. And if you don't do these things, if you do these things, they can delay the onset of cognitive decline. And you don't want to get that when you have cognitive decline, to where you can't think, you can't remember things, you can't really you read something, then sometimes you're not retaining the knowledge. So these are things that you want to do as far as started reading things, not only biographies about certain people that we like, but just reading in general to keep our minds sharp.
Man, our ancestors have left us so much. They've left us with treasures of material that we can read and learn, because they basically went through the same thing that we're going through now, which is racism, sexism, and all the stuff that we're dealing with. But we don't want to read what they have to say. We rather read what's on the TV, or what's on the Grammys, or what's on the Emmys, or what's on soap operas, or what's on sports, or what's on, just different reality TV shows, or what's at the movies. See, we as a people will not have a free mind until we learn that we're going to have to open up what's in there and allow the good stuff to be in there, as opposed to keeping that stuff in jail, so to speak, mentally, and not being able to do what we need to do based upon the fact that our minds have been so incarcerated that we can't even do anything.
Brother Ray fires in here again. He says, being the blame empowers you and puts the situation into your hands and control. I would kind of say that, but here's the thing, Brother Ray. You don't want to be the blame to where you're putting yourself down, because we take that, what he said is right, 50%, but the other 50%, I would say, is where we sit back and we dwell. We think everything is our fault. We're the reason for everything. And when you think of from it from that perspective, it damages the mind and it'll actually make you more depressed. But it's to some regard, Brother Ray he's also right as well. It's 50-50, I would say. Letter E. Listen to podcasts or broadcasts that encourages free thought and independent thinking. I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to toot our own horn, but there are many broadcasts and podcasts that's talking about free thought, such as this one, you know, the John Kev show and other broadcasts that are on YouTube and social media, Facebook. These broadcasts and podcasts, they encourage free thought, independent thinking. In other words, we're not trying to get people to think like us. Right. We're not trying to sell anything. We're not trying to make people join something. We're not trying to proselytize people and make them think what we want to think, or else something bad is going to happen. We're not trying to gather people together so that these people can be like us. We want people to have a free mind. And in order to have a free mind, you must engage in podcasts, broadcasts that encourages free thought. We encourage free thought, independent thinking. The subject tonight is how to have a free mind. And that's what we're trying to get to. These are ways that we can have free minds, especially when you deal with a people like us who has gotten so much thrown at us mentally, and now we don't know what to do with it.
Yep. I agree with that. Brother Ray also fires in here. He says healthy, mental, or cognitive diet. Yeah. Especially our diets, we all, eat things that we shouldn't, but I think it should be a balance to some snacks, some unhealthy things, and then also, like you said, having a healthy mind, clearing our minds from some of this crap. So it's kind of like a balance, brother. You can't be so lopsided to where you just cutting everything off, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and just balance it out a little bit. Letter F, engage in creative activities. Do what is creative and not sit around doing nothing but taking in foolishness all day. I would agree. Get off your butt. Listen, if you are not confined to a wheelchair, if you have not had any recent surgeries, get your butt up, go to a park, get to a gym, do something. And you don't have to do this for 2 or 3 hours out the day. You can exercise for 30 or 45 minutes, because I'm telling you, when you're sitting back eating all this stuff, and especially if you have a desk job, you're sitting down all these 8, 9, 12 hours throughout the day. You're not doing nothing. You're gaining all this weight. That's going to affect your mind too. So it is important. If you can walk, get up and get active. You have to get active, brother.
Yeah, you really do. And I would challenge myself to say, all I can think of is when we're talking about this creative activities, think about what makes you creative. What is it in your life that you can do that stimulates your mind? What is it that and all of us can answer this question. But this is one of those personal, introspective type of things where we have to look at, what can I do to create something for my own mind where I can be a benefit, as opposed to, being a drag and always complaining, always fussing, always arguing, always grouchy, always pouting, always bickering. What can we do? But like you said, we've got to get up and do something. We can't sit around all day, Chazz, and do nothing and think our mind is free, because whatever we're sitting around doing all day, that's consuming our mind, and that's why it is the way it is.
It gets bad. Brother Ray fires in here. He says, no, healthy mental diet, not a food diet, but a mental diet.
Yeah, he's right. He's right about the mental diet. In other words, how to have a free mind. You've got to have a healthy mental diet. That's what he's saying. And that's key. And that's what we're saying. How can we have a free mind? That's a crucial part of what we're talking about. The mind that we have, it has to be healthy. It can't be in the gutter, Chazz. It can't always be on stuff that's not going to lift us up and make us better people. See, we don't like to talk like I talk, and I know I sound like a broken record, because I'm always talking about self-improvement, because when one improves themselves, they can improve their community. They can improve their families. But we don't have a healthy mental diet because we're wanting to know what Steve Harvey has to say. We want to know what these people on TV has to say. We want to know what all these other people are saying. And that's why people don't want to listen to broadcast that's trying to stimulate into independent thought.
Brother Ray Farson here again. He says, study how to do proper research so you can learn self-educate yourself independently. Yeah, always. I've always said that, Brother Ray. Do your own research. What we say or what other people say, follow up behind that and make sure what they're saying is facts. Don't only believe it because there's someone you like, but also do research for your own well-being. Letter G, move your body. Do physical activity that will get your energy flowing, like nature walks, which are especially powerful for freeing the mind. Now, I basically just said that, so I'll let you
Yeah,
take
yeah.
this one because I just basically said all this.
Yeah, and it was so true what you said, because a good walk is beautiful, man. You can think then. You can even think about getting stuff out of your mind and your head that's in there. You could think about how to get rid of people in your life that shouldn't be in your life, as far as all the nonsense that people try to bring to you. But see, a lot of us are connected, and we got to realize that we're going to have to do something. We're not going to get a free mind by just talking about it. We're not going to get a free mind by just, praying for one. We've got to do something. And I think a lot of times we don't talk about what we have to do to get the result that we need. We think it's going to be a hocus pocus thing or something, some magic is going to happen to us,
Right.
when basically we're going to have to move that body. We're going to have
Yep.
to do something, man. I've never seen a
Yep.
person with free mind that sits around all day eating popcorn, drinking beer, watching TV, playing games on his phone, on her phone. That's not freedom. That's mental slavery, if you will.
Yeah, and once again, when you add all that to where, and I'll get to Brother Ray's comment after I say this, when you add all that to where the radiation that's killing us, the air that's poisoning us, the food that we're eating, and you add all that to the fact that where 7 days out of the week, you're not moving your body at all, you're going to get high cholesterol, you're going to get diabetes, you're going to get all these terrible, terrible health effects if you're not being active at least 45 minutes to an hour a day. That's all you can do, at least, please. I'll read Brother Ray's comment. He says, can't change the world till you change yourself. Yeah, you got to start with yourself first. Look in the mirror, look at what's going on, whatever there is, try to get better at it. But yeah, you have to start with yourself first. And then hopefully people will see what you're doing, not get jealous, but get motivated to want to do the same in their lives as well. Letter H, let go of control. Accept what you can't change and focus on what is positive and mentally liberating. I'll let you take that one as I take a swig real quick.
This is one of the toughest things for us to do, and we all must be honest. We want to control everything, and see, our minds are already entangled. But a lot of the releasing of the mind and being free is if we let go of control. I can't control every situation. I can't be in control of everybody, everything, all the time.
Yeah.
And a lot of
Yeah.
us don't want to let go of that control. That's why we're stubborn. That's why we're pig-headed. That's why we won't do anything. But we have to let go of that control. Now, being in control of a youth's life, if you're a parent, you must be in control, because they can't
Right.
just run rampant and do what they want to do. But I'm talking about us adults. Our minds aren't free because we want to always be on top of everything, just like Dolomite said. Man, I thought I was on top of everything. Well, you're not on top of everything. You can't always focus on something positive, Chazz. Focus on something that's going to liberate your mind. Focus on something that your children need. Focus on something that you need. Focus on something that your community needs. That's how you have a free mind. But a lot of us are just messy, man. We're messy. We're very messy, and we don't want this change that we're talking about.
And I'll add to that, brother. When you're saying that we always want to control things, here's the thing: how you talked about, or that's messing our minds up. We figure out that we can't be in control of certain outcomes or certain things. That makes us even more frustrated, and more bitter, and more angry. So that adds on to the pile that's already in our minds, to where we're already angry. So since we can't control these certain outcomes, we're even more agitated. We're more aggressive. We're more frustrated. So when you're actively living like this, you're just messing your mind up. And like you said, some of the things you can't control, so be it. But wanting to control everything, you're just self-harming your own self.
And a lot of us, Chaz, we don't want to have a free mind. And that's one of the points that's coming up later on. But we don't want to have a free mind. We want to stay in this. A lot of people don't bit more care about this broadcast than a man in the moon. They turn it on, and then 5 minutes later, they're gone. They just want us to see them on the broadcast. They don't want to engage with us. They don't want to make a comment. They just want to look for a few minutes and leave because they got something else to do, and that's fine. But I'm saying in the long run, you're not hurting us, you're hurting yourself, because we have to have these kinds of discussions. We got to have where people are interested in themselves. And I don't mean you and I got to make them, but people, once we are interested in ourselves, we're going to be a part of something that's growing as far as internally, something that's going to challenge us, something that's going to push back on some of the things we say, something that's going to encourage us, because we definitely have to get back to being honest about having this free mind.
Brother Ray fires in here. He says, being a self-leader helps you to understand what a good leader is. Yeah. And I'll piggyback off that in a second. Sister Barbara fires in here as well. She says, meditation can also be helpful in reducing the issues. I'll let you take Ray's.
Yeah, I want to say something about this meditation, because Raymond says something right after that says meditation is a form of a healthy spiritual diet. Okay, I want to kill two birds with one stone. I want to talk to the sister that just put that up, and I also want to share this with Raymond. Now, and I know what they both said is true. What they both said is true. Meditation can also be helpful in reducing the issues. That's true, and Raymond is true when he says meditation is a form of healthy spiritual diet. But let me tell you something. I hope people understand what I'm about to say about meditation.
Okay.
Meditation is beautiful when it comes to freeing the mind, but you got to put something else in there. You can't just, and I know that, listen, they're not saying this, I'm saying this.
Okay.
I'm afraid now with meditation, having a free mind, sitting around, going to the mountains and chanting is fine. No, it's fine, Chazz. But you still got to come down from the mountain and put something in our mind so that we can help people. See, we can't just, again, they're not saying this, I'm saying this. We can't isolate ourselves to all we want to do is meditate. That's all we do. When you call me, what you doing, Jah? I'm meditating. Next week you call, what you do? I'm meditating. Oh, I'm so spiritual. I'm so out of this realm. I want to go and live with the wild animals. I want to go in nature. Okay, all that's fine. But at the end of the day, Chazz, at the end of the day, you're going to bring your butt back down to reality and deal with the issues that you face, like racism, like sexism, like joblessness, like lack of education, like child brutality, like our young people are dying because they're taking their lives, suicide. You know, we got to go on and on. So what I'm saying is meditation is beautiful, but that's not all. You got to put something with it, Chazz, unless you become a monk and go off to somewhere and never never do anything in society, and all you're doing is shaving your bald head and chanting and want people to think that you something, when basically all you did was go somewhere and chant and come back. You're the same old guy that you were when you left. You just want people to think you that way because you're wearing that orange thing. And forgive me for going off on that rant. I think I just wanted to say that. And again, this is not to the sister and it's not to Brother Ray. They didn't say that. Right. I'm saying this because I see a new thing coming in with meditation now, where they're saying that you got to meditate. You do have to meditate, and I agree with them. But that's not all of it, Chazz. Play the whole record. Don't just play half the record, because that's not going to work. You got to put something with that meditation, unless you become selfish, egotistical, and standoffish, and all of that kind of stuff.
Right. Right. Access your mental garbage and take out what you don't really need, like taking out trash. Exactly. I think we touched on this earlier, to where, and I hate to keep saying social media, but I think that's where most of the mental garbage is coming from, because this is what we're constantly consuming on a daily basis. But saying some of this stuff, you know what? I've did a little bit of this for 10 minutes today. Okay, I'm done. Get rid of it. When I say get rid of it, get off the app. Get off the app. And I'm going to say it once again. Get off the app. Look at it for a few minutes and then just log out. But I think that we're so consumed. We got to see every post. We got to see every video. We can't, we got to have all these alerts on to when this certain YouTuber posts something. We got to see that. And if we didn't see it, we're angry, we're grouchy. So I think it has to be a point of, like you said, watch it for a little bit and then tune it out. But don't sit back and try to, keep up with all this stuff, because you'll never be able to keep up with all these YouTubers.
Chazz, I'm going to tell you a secret that you already know, so it's not a secret. Do you know some people go on Facebook or social media to see what people post?
Yeah.
In other words, they go to people's page just to see what they're posting. Now, if that's not insane, just to see. And then some people go look to find something that's profound, and they copy it and they post it so people can say, man, you're profound. No, that's not a free mind. That's plagiarism. That's
Yeah.
stealing. And we want
Yeah.
people to think we're original. See, we go to people's pages. This shows how sick we are as a society. And I don't want the people that's watching this to be that way. So about this one, assess your mental garbage. Basically, I need to look at my life and ask myself this: what do I need to take out of my mind that's already in there that I don't need? I need to go into my heart and my mind and say, you know what? I'm going to stop that lying. I got to quit telling lies so much. I got to be more on time. I can't procrastinate. I got to take care of my finances. I got to see, these are practical things that we can do to have a free mind. A lot of us don't want to do this. See, ask yourself, as I ask myself and everybody watching this, ask yourself this question: what is in my mind that does not need to be there? And when we find out what it is, just take it out. Don't give me that crap. Lord, look at my mind, and what if you see something? No, it's already something in there. There's already something in there. It's a lot in there. Take it out and say, I'm not going to address, I'm not going to let this stuff basically continue to take me the way it is. And I think we'll do better if we look at it that way.
Brother Ray fires here. He says, right, Ja, put the meditation into healthy action. Free mind doesn't mean you're free physically.
Yeah, he's right. See, Brother Ray, he's been through the fire. And I don't want to tell his personal business, but I know him. We grew up together. You know, he's in Indiana, I'm in Texas. We went to school together. And I can speak for him. This man has been through so much in his life. His family, he was in the military, and we've talked, and I'm sure he doesn't mind me sharing a little bit, but he's been through a lot, like we all have. But what he's trying to do and what he's doing is he's looking at all this stuff that has come in his life, and he's trying to put it in perspective so that he can have a free mind in spite of what he's gone through. See, that's what we got to do, because a lot of us let our situations and what we've gone through, they basically capture us. But here's a brother who says, in spite of all the ups and downs, the hurts, the heartaches, the pains, the joy, the love, I'm still going to look in my mind and make sure that it's free so I can be of benefit to myself.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Well said, brother. Well said. Letter J. Talk to your children about the importance of having a free mind. Exactly. Especially if they're around that age group, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Get to them early, because their minds are so innocent. Their minds are so fragile. Their minds are so easily persuaded. And you want to get to them and tell them the importance of having a free mind, because you don't want them growing up as an 8, 9, 10-year-old having all this poison in their mind, and now they're ready to go and commit suicide and things like that. So it is important that we take the time that we need to with our children, if you have them, and try to get them at a young age, brother, because I'm telling you, their minds are so fragile, and they are the main culprits who are going to be hit with suicide, like we mentioned on the previous broadcast, if we're not teaching them this stuff.
And also, we talked to, I know when I was growing up, I was chuckling when you were talking, but I know in all seriousness, what my people told me was, they taught me what to look for in a woman. Always look for this type of woman. And they taught us how to fight. Don't let nobody push you around in school. See, but they don't talk to us about the importance of having a free mind. See, they talk about how to get over on somebody. When somebody comes to you, you get the leg up on them first. This is what I was taught growing up. So I was taught this, but I was never taught the importance of having a free mind. So let's be practical tonight, Chazz, as we are. Let's continue to encourage people. All these points are ways to help us become free in our thinking, because our minds are mentally incarcerated. Don't just talk to our children about trying to find a man that got a lot of money, trying to find somebody got a nice car, trying to get over on somebody. Talk to our children about the importance of having a free mind, because that's important, man.
Yeah. And I was just going to say real quick before we move on, come on now, I'm not taking shots at adults. So I'm just saying, I know we all have busy lives. I know we all have hectic work schedules, but we have to put some kind of effort with our kids, because I'm telling you, if you do not put in this effort, that tablet, that cell phone, social media is going to raise them. And before you know it, you're going to have hell on your hands if you're not spending quality time, at least a couple hours throughout the day. Don't just give them phones and then tell them to get out of your hair. Spend time with those children, please. Letter K. Stop worrying about what others think about you. I'll let you take this one as I take one more swig a little bit.
Okay. Here's the deal on this, Chazz. A lot of our minds will never be free because we worry about what other people think about us. Now, I've often had to say this. Do I love people? Yes, I do.
Yeah.
But I don't care what you think about me. See, I'm not trying to make you think a certain way about me. And that's what most of us do. We talk a lot of noise behind closed doors. But in public, we kowtow, we bow down to people. We want people to like us, Chazz. We don't want to say, like if you tell me, Jahi, I notice you've been drinking a lot. You need to stop drinking. Instead
Yeah.
of you just shooting like that, you're gonna you're gonna say it in another way. Well, Jahi, if you would just no, see, because you want me to be like you want me to like you. So instead of you just being straight, you're gonna come about another way because that's how people are. Well, I would have said it in another way. What other way can you tell a gorilla to stop drinking if they're drinking too much? What other way can you tell them other than to stop drinking? But
Yeah.
see, we're so afraid, and most of us grown men and women, we are really we're afraid. Behind closed doors, we talk a lot, but we really want people to like us, Chazz. We
Yeah.
want people to think, we want everybody to think, oh, Jahi, he's a good guy. I don't care what you think about me because
Right.
that doesn't mean much to me. Now, I'm not
Right.
gonna belittle you or put you down because I'm trying to be bad or big. But when it comes to what like this broadcast, we say these things because we love people. Now, how they
Right.
accept it, that's up to them. That's up
Mm.
to them. So quit worrying about what other people think about you, Chazz.
And don't twist it, because I know there's some people who will say, people who like to smoke a lot or pop a lot of pills and stuff like that. They'll say, "Well, I don't care what you think about me." Even though we're trying to say these things to help you, even though you, like you said, you could be a drunkard, you could be a pill addict, they'll take this and say, "Well, don't worry about. I don't care what you think about me." No, we're telling you this not to be calling the shots. We're telling this out of love. We're telling this because we don't want to see you in that casket, because all those pills, all that liquor, and all that stuff is going to harm you. But on the flip side, yeah, you shouldn't care what others think, because no matter what you do, people are going to have something to say, whether it's good or bad. And if you're constantly living in a state like that, to where you're always looking to be accepted or always wanting people to like you, it never be like, people going to nitpick and find something that they don't like. So you
Yeah.
have to just live for yourself and quit always trying to be a people pleaser. Brother Ray Fires in here. He says, in the black victim culture, take responsibility. I said that earlier, Brother Ray, about this me against the world, and the world is out to get me, and all this kind of nonsense, and that's false. Not Ray. I'm just saying the people. The world is not out to get you, and he is totally right about this. And I said that earlier. You got
Yeah,
to
he's
quit
right.
that mindset.
He's definitely right because we are victims, but yet we don't have to have this victim culture. In other words, the last two words he said is important. Yes, although we may be victimized by white supremacy, when are we going to take responsibility? See, that's the other side. Now, he played both of the sides of the record on that one. He played both of the sides. You could tell I'm outdating myself. They don't even do records anymore, but he's playing both sides of the record. See, he's not just playing the victim culture, the black victim culture. They doing me wrong. They doing me wrong. They doing me wrong. They doing me wrong. He flipped it over and says, okay, now that they're doing you wrong, what you going to do about it? Take
Right.
responsibilities. And that's what I don't hear spirituality talking about. I don't hear Islam talking about that much. I don't hear the church talking about it that much because we don't want to offend anyone. We want everybody to think that everything is good. All you have to do is this. We don't want to come across as being hardcore. And this is a problem, man. And that's why we're in the situation and our minds aren't free, many of us.
Sister Barbara Fires in here. She says, teach Chazz. She's agreeing with what I was saying. Brother Ray Fires mind her. He says, even as a child, my superpower is I don't care what people think of me, and I don't care who don't like me.
He's
That's
right.
well said.
I can attest to that. I can say amen to that because I know in school, when we were in school, that brother, he didn't care what you thought. Now, he didn't go around trying to be a bully and all that. It's just that when people talked about him, it was like, oh what, oh well. Even though we didn't use that kind of language, it was more vulgar. But we he didn't care. And I think this right here is what's going to really sum up a lot of it, Chazz.
Yes, letter L. Get plenty of sleep. This helps the brain clean out unnecessary stress and get ready for the new day. Now, there's a lot of us. This is a serious problem where I'm hearing a lot of people saying that they can't sleep. They have a hard time falling asleep at night. And now I'm not advocating for drugs and stuff like that, but we have to get the proper rest, because if you don't, you will catch it. As far as you're going to start getting high blood pressure, you're going to be more grouchy throughout the day. These things are not good for your health, where out of 7 days out of the week, you're not sleeping, but maybe, let's say maybe 2 hours per day or something like that. That's not good. You have to learn, and some of it is these phones. Instead of saying, you know what, it's 10 o'clock, I'm turning this phone off and I'm taking my black behind the bed. We want to scroll on YouTube, TikTok, all this stuff. You can't go to sleep, but we have to, brother, to have a proper functioning mind in order to be sharp and ready to go for the day.
I have nothing to say on that, Chazz. Keep going.
Letter M, just exercise when you can. This can help relax your mind and release some of the clutter in it. Now, and the reason I'm passing this one back to you, brother, because I said this twice a little bit about the exercise. I'll let you take this one about the exercise.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing that we can do when we exercise. In fact, what happens sometimes when we do exercise, it helps us to see clearly. It helps us to relax some of the clutter that's in it. As you can see, here's a sister, and I know her mind isn't this pure, though, so don't mistake this image. Her mind isn't this pure, but you can see a person who's focused, a person who's concentrating, a person who's looking straight forward to whatever it is that she's facing, a person who's able to think clearly, a person who's able to manipulate whatever she's going through to make sure that she's in a good position. See, we've got to get us some rest, not to those who are having issues sleeping, not that. I'm talking about to those of us who act like we can't go to sleep because we're afraid we're going to miss something. So this is why we have to really look at this for what it's worth, Chazz. And I think it's important that we continue to encourage the people how to have a free mind, because a lot of us, we don't have free minds, man. And it's terrible. It's bad, especially as a people, so-called African Americans.
Yeah, and I was going to say just real quick, exercise does release endorphins. Now, if you have what you call a craving to exercise, I've noticed that myself, it releases endorphins. So yeah, we have to do some kind of mild activity if you can. Letter N, try as best as you can to stay away from drama.
Chazz, deal with that. Deal with that. Let me sit up. Let me sit up on this one.
The thing is, brother, it's hard to stay away from it when America is basically pushing that down our throat through the TV shows, these reality shows, the movies that we see at the movie cinema. Drama is basically put on our plates on a day-to-day basis. We got to find out, like you said, who said what on this show, who did what on that episode. We have to, but for us to get away from that, to say, you know what, yeah, this stuff may be drama-filled, I'm not going to really pay any attention. No, we run to it. So I think, brother, it's hard for us because throughout the years, listen, this is not something new. This has been on our childhood. Through years, we've been growing up living for drama, looking for it. So I think it's going to be a little bit harder for us to come away from it when we've been indoctrinated through so many years.
Yeah, and I think what we don't want to miss in this, Chazz, what we don't want to miss in this is the first part. You cannot stay away from drama. We know that. But the first part is important. If you look at the first part, it's very key. It says, try as best as you can. That's all. Don't bring it on your lap. Try, because some of us, we can stay away from some of the drama. Like you mentioned, we choose the drama. So it's like we're not even trying to stay away from it. We're like a hound dog looking for drama, sniffing for drama, sniffing for chaos, looking for trouble, looking for nonsense, looking for mess. So we're saying try as best as you can. That's all we're saying. Don't bring it to you because that's important.
Letter O, talk about your feelings. Sharing your thoughts with someone, not messy, can take the weight off your mind and free it. Yeah, I would say you do. You need to talk to people about some of these issues. But here's the thing, brother. Some of us, we feel like expressing our feelings or expressing ourselves is looked as being weak, as soft. Especially if you're a grown man, they feel like, oh, you soft, dog. You telling somebody else your business. And that's not because here's the thing. If you keep all that stuff pent up inside of you year after year, month after month, week after week, you're going to explode on somebody. And that's not good. So like we said, not the messy things, but on your personal life, find someone you can confide in that you know that's not going to tell your business and get that stuff off your chest. Because if you don't, you're just basically going to be a ticking time bomb.
And this is the last point we have, Chazz. We got about 6 minutes, so this is the last point. But this is free. This is really a freedom statement. But after all we said, how to have a free mind. If you don't have this, Chazz, if I don't have this, if our audience does not have this, then Chazz, all these things we said means nothing, because this is where it really starts. This should have been the first thing we said, but I saved it for last. Why don't you read that and let's comment, because we have some more comments to go to.
Letter P, you want to have a free mind.
You have to want a free mind, Chazz.
Yeah.
You said that you if you don't want it, no matter what we say, is not going to work. And some of us don't want it. Now, this is the sad part of this broadcast. All that other stuff was great. The music was playing, the violins, the cymbals were crescendoing as the movie was playing, and people were crying and eating popcorn and laughing. This is the part of the movie that's sad. Some of us don't want a free mind.
Wow.
And that's sad. Even though we say we do, we don't want it. That's why we don't watch these kind of broadcasts. We don't engage in this kind of dialogue. We want social media. We are addicted. We are addicted to this thing. And we have the nerve to talk about people who have alcohol problems, people who have drug problems, people who have all kind of problems, and yet we don't want to have a free mind. And that's the saddest thing I've said all day. That's the saddest thing I think I'll say in a long time. But some of us, not all of us, but Chazz, let's be honest, some of us don't want this thing. We don't want it, man. We don't want it.
You have to, though. You should want to have a free mind, because once again, if you don't have a free mind, you're going to get yourself in a lot of troubles with your health. You're going to be stressed out. You're going to be worrying. You're going to get gray hairs and things like that. And you shouldn't want these things for yourself. If you don't want a free mind, then that's just sad for you as an individual. And you need to think about what's really a priority here, because you don't want to go around stressed out and being angry at the world day after day. You should want to declare your mind. Brother Ray Fires in here. He says, I have a hard time going to sleep and pain wakes me up. I slept 2 hours last night. Yeah. And then he also says exercise helps you get rid of stress too. Yeah. And we talked about that, Brother Ray. He says I'm drama free. If you are having stress, sleep issues, there's probably things online, or maybe you can go to a doctor and see. But a lot of people are having this same issue, brother. That's why I spoke about this. I'm starting to hear an uptick in a lot of people saying they can't go to bed at night. They don't know what it is. Now, some of it could be the phone, but if it's not the phone and you literally are laying in bed and can't get sleep, then yeah, that's something maybe. And I don't advise this, but taking a Benadryl, do something to get yourself to go to bed, and don't get hooked on that crap either. Sister Barbara says deleting the Debbie Downers when they come with the mess.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's hard to do, but it is true. And that's another theory. That's in theory. It sounds good, but a lot of us, we look for the people that are the Debbie Downers because we like them, birds of a feather. You know what they say about that. But she's right. We got to stop this, letting people always bring us down because our minds are so cluttered.
Brother Ray Fires behind her. He says some venting is healthy. Too much venting all the time will drive people away from you. Yeah, because they'll look at it. Oh, here he comes again. All he wants to do is let his problems off on me. I ain't hearing that, and that's sad. Where some of us in society don't care to hear others' problems. We just want to get them away from us. Brother Ray Fires in here again. He says, can't save them from themselves.
Yeah, these are people, man, who always are into something. And I think right now we're going to wrap this thing up. So I want to let everybody know that this broadcast, again, can be seen every Wednesday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time, 7 o'clock Eastern. We want you to tell people about the broadcast, because the information that we talk about is crucial, is very important. Tonight, for the last 2 weeks, we've been talking about how to have a free mind. And I know that there's things in my mind that I got to get rid of. I have to divorce these things out of my mind. But until we have that discussion, until we look into our minds and see what is it that I need to get rid of, we're going to always carry this stuff around. And as you mentioned earlier, eventually we're going to either have a stroke, or we're going to blow up or explode on somebody, or we're not going to be able to realize that these types of encouragements are practical. They're pragmatic. Anyone can do this, but you got to want it. And so again, I'll let you sign us off, Chazz. But I want to go to there's a few more comments. We don't necessarily have to comment on them, but I think they may be saying good night to us. And here's a comment by Sister Barbara.
This is a good one. She says magnesium is a supplement that helps you sleep. My doctor recommended it for me. Yeah, and they also say that it's good for bones and stuff like that, for aches too. Sister Mashonda Fires behind her. She says Shimotep, appreciate her. But yeah, tonight was a good broadcast. It's about freeing the mind. Some of the things that we're putting into our minds, some of the things that we need to try to get away from to have a free or a clear mind. Some of the things that we discussed as far as with our children as well, how to talk to them to get their minds on the right track, because we know how fragile their minds are and how they can go off the deep end easily. And just basically staying away from all this crap that's going to mess us up in the long run. And I don't really have too much else to say behind that. It was pretty well said. Have you thought about the next topic yet for next week, or you're not sure yet?
No, we're going to come back with something, Chazz. Within the week, something's going to come up and we're going to be able to discuss it. So we definitely want to thank everybody for tuning in to this broadcast. And on behalf of Chazz, we'll see you all next week. And hopefully you're going to be back and have some encouraging words to say to challenge us so that we all can go together. Because it's time for us to all put what we know together to become better people. So once again, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.